That's everything on the seed shelves right now. There's hundreds of plants here. It is the middle of March and they are about to explode in growth. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hobby Homestead. If you're new here, I'm Amy, and in the suburbs of Southern Ontario in Zone 6A, I am growing almost all of the fruit and vegetables for my family of 4, just in our backyard with a little bit of an extra plot of land for field crops, things like potatoes that take up more space. And today I wanted to give you a tour of what's growing on our grow shelves. We have hundreds of seedlings so far, all just in my living room, right beside my desk. So if you're interested to know what kind of food you can grow if you're starting seeds indoors in a climate similar to mine, come along and see what we have growing. I also have a lot of potting up to do, so we better get started. The first thing I have to do is try to save my eucalyptus, potentially my leeks as well, although they're doing okay. My eucalyptus was sown into these soil blocks that I did not like. It didn't like the mix I used. It was very high sand, and they dry out, and the blocks themselves are very, very hard. You can almost hear me tapping on it. It's a very hard block, and some of them have been dying. There's another dead one here. A couple are really struggling. So I have my big pile of soil here. I've decided to completely repot the eucalyptus, taking the roots completely out of the old soil that was doing them no favors. Usually when potting things up, you want to keep the soil as intact around the roots as possible and just get the whole root ball gently into a larger pot. But I wanted to just get them fully into some fresh soil. There's 2 here. So that's a problem that I'm having with the soil blocks, another problem, or just a challenge to work around. I will often sow 2 seeds per cell because I want a certain amount of plants at the end of the day, and I know sometimes they won't germinate. And so when I would sow in pots and do 2 seeds per pot, and if 2 came up and there was an empty pot over here, I could just tease them apart and move one of them into that empty pot. But with soil blocks, it's not that easy to re-block an established seedling. Still struggling with that, trying to find the right timing to do that. So that's just one more of my soil blocking learning curves. Hopefully this perks these guys up a little bit. I need to go and find some more pots. Found some in the shed. These are really, really flimsy. They would have come from flats of seedlings that I bought. So I buy some native plants every year, little babies, and they would come in this kind of pot. Okay, I wish I could get a close-up of this. This seedling is dying because of fungus gnat larvae. There is a little larva crawling around, and that is all that is left of the roots. So a little update on the fungus gnat situation that I've been having this year. It's actually getting under control. I've been applying mosquito dunks and this stuff, my nematodes, to all my pots, and every time I water with mosquito dunk infused water. It's been going well. Just checking, yeah, there's no larva on this. So for some reason they were in that pot, but they seem to not be surviving in the other pots. I don't know why. I don't know why that one block was still so badly affected by them, but these ones, the roots are growing back fine. Yeah, so it's been going well. My yellow sticky traps have been much less full of adult gnats. The seedlings themselves are growing healthy now. So I just went down to my basement to grab a bin to mix some soil in. And I found the bin of soil where I had mixed this original mix, my homemade stuff with the fancy local compost, the one that I didn't like for soil blocking. And it was alive with fungus gnats all inside and around that container. That's why I say you have to be consistent, and you have to do it to all of the soil sources in your home if you want to actually get rid of fungus gnats. And that is very hard. As somebody who has like 50 houseplants, oh, always itchy when I can't scratch my face. As somebody who has like 50 houseplants and all these seedlings and bags of soil here and there and everywhere, it is very, very hard to consistently treat all of those. And especially when it's something like this and you have to put in a couple capsules into each pot, and then you have to water it every day for 3 days. And then 2 weeks later, you do it again. That's a lot with all of these sources of soil. So that's why I'm combining my strategies. If you want to watch my fungus gnat video that I did a couple of weeks ago, I'll put a link in the description. But essentially, the punchline of that video is that you have to use a bunch of strategies to use them strategically so that you are attacking the gnats where they are most a problem for you at any given time. Yeah, so I'm going to treat these pots with more of my Nemonite nematodes because I'm starting fresh with fresh soil here. And then every time I water, it's with mosquito dunk infused water. That's BTI. It's a Bacillus cernagensis bacterium that will kill the larva of the fungus gnats. And it is working. They're not eradicated because they're still elsewhere in my house, like the tub of soil that I forgot was in my basement where they were just reproducing vigorously. So take heart, it is possible to eradicate them, just takes extreme consistency. And if not eradicate them, then it is at least possible to stop them from killing your seedlings by keeping any larva dead. Any eggs that hatch in your soil, the larva would then die right away if you had predators in that soil to get them. These ones are toast, so I'm just going to throw those out. This soil is all going in the garden where there are natural predators for fungus gnats, and honestly, they're probably going to freeze in this weather anyway. My leeks are actually doing fine in these soil blocks, and the leeks are, the cat just came through and chewed a bunch of them off, but besides that, they're doing fine. Leeks are a cold weather crop, so they are going to go outside soon, in about a month, whereas the eucalyptus is inside for another 2 months. So this is my strategy for getting rid of the fungus gnats. My pepper seedlings are growing nicely, which means it's time to pot them up to bigger sized pots. I sowed these seeds originally in early February. I sowed 2 seeds per pot, and I'm glad I did because I had some varieties with poor germination. Only about half of these double sown pots have 2 plants in them. The nice thing about pots, as opposed to soil blocks, I'm finding, is that it's easy to repot seedlings that you separate. I'm just teasing apart the double seedlings and giving them each their own bigger pot. So every year I do this. I discard overseeded plants. Not all of them, but if it's variety that I have enough of already, I only want one of, and I sowed 2 seeds, they both came up, and I discard them. I throw them out, and people will always get upset with me and say, like, you should just sell those or give them away. I don't have room, really don't have room under my lights. I don't have enough trays, so I discard them. I'm ruthless, and I mentioned this before, but I have an easy time letting go of things. And these are going outside in the cold to shrivel up and die out in the garden. Now it's time to pot up some of these poor little sweet potato slips that have been crammed into this glass of water for a week or more. They're starting to get little roots, so we're going to put them into a pot of well-hydrated soil. So the different sizes of pots I'm using here, this was I think a 2-inch pot, and that's what my pepper seeds were started in. And then I potted them up to this, which is I think a 3.5-inch pot, and they will have to be potted up one more time before they can go out into the garden. And I have been using these fabric grow bags for my peppers when it's time to pot them up for the last time. And that is why I have to be careful not to just save every seed that germinates, because I already have an almost full tray of the 3.5-inch pots. That's going to mean I'm going to have over 2 trays, 2.5 trays full of pepper plants by the 3rd week of April, maybe the 4th week I could stretch it, probably not. That's over half of one of my 3 grow shelves in just peppers. So I have to be really harsh with what I save. There has to be a place for it in the garden. Okay, top those off with a little bit of my nematodes. And then I will water them with mosquito dunk water. Because we're serious here about putting the fungus gnats in their place. I am top watering right now, which means pouring water on top of the soil instead of underneath the pots in the bottom tray. That is because I'm using the nematode and it needs to be watered in on the surface. But that'll dry out with the fans. Here's something else I have to tend to. This is my Tulsi or holy basil. I just sowed a ton of seeds in this pot and now I have to separate them out and give them some room to breathe. I wonder actually if I could put those in those soil blocks. Yeah, I don't know how to pot into a soil block. You know what might have worked better for these, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is a snail roll. I am really tempted right now to just try something new with that. Okay, hold on, we're gonna try this. These snail rolls were a hilarious misadventure. It did not work for me. Did not work at all. The problem was also that I used this craft paper and didn't realize that it's perforated every like 6 inches. And so as I was rolling, it was just coming apart. So I have some Tulsi in here, but I'm gonna put the rest in pots because I know that works. I also really like for my trays to look uniform. And so I don't love these. I don't love them at all. I kind of wish I hadn't done it. This is my propagation or germination tray, so I have it on a heat mat, and some of my nasturtiums are now germinated, which means they're coming off the heat mat and they can go on a separate tray. In this tray right here is something very exciting. It is teensy tiny baby strawberries. They don't even have their true leaves yet for the most part. You can barely just see those teensy little babies. But they're in there. This is my tray of brassicas that are going out at my mom's place in her wide open spaces. And there is, it's really good germination across the board here in these soil blocks. Only two blocks did not germinate. And I double sowed in some of these blocks because I really didn't want empty blocks. So right now we've got some double sown blocks that are absolutely crammed full of plants. And I have to be ruthless right now and snip the extras away because I have not figured out how to easily pot up these blocks, and I don't want to get into pots for my brassicas because they're only inside for 1 more month. Snipping the smaller one. That way they're not going to compete for nutrients in these blocks. I have these planned. It's a succession sowing. So this is the first of the successions, and then I'll be sowing more. I'll be starting a couple more things in April. Like there's a lot of times in the year where I'm starting brassicas. And so this is just one sowing in a succession of sowings. So it's not like extras here are really going to help me that much down the road. And if you keep them in these little blocks or in little pots, they're going to end up competing for nutrients, and then you're going to have 2 weak plants instead of 1 strong plant. It's called thinning, and it can be psychologically hard to do, but to me, it is very worth it. Honestly, it's one thing I'm really not enjoying about the soil blocks is this, how tricky it is to tease apart and then repot seedlings because I can't put them in blocks after I've broken them apart. And I know my friend Sarah from Sunny Hill Homestead, I've mentioned before, she's like my soil blocking mentor. She has made soil blocks just with her hands. So you like take a wad of soil and squeeze it around the root of the plant. So I could do that here, but then they're not going to fit as uniformly on my tray. And that's also important to me because space is of the essence. There's some microgreens right there. And these are ready to go back up on the shelf. I know this is a video about seed starting, but let me just show you. It's cold today. It's -1 Celsius. The chickens are out and about. This is their 1 month in the spring where they are allowed outside. And then they've got 1 month in the fall too. So March and November, usually they're free ranging times. Other than that, I have plant babies in the garden that they would dig up. Hi ladies. We're missing two. Wonder where they are. Oh, there they are. There's Fernie. Way over there. Little chicken butt. That's Olive. Now, after that brief intermission, let's go and look at the seed shelves and do a full tour of what we've got growing right now. Starting at the bottom, I keep my water in there with a mosquito dunk. Like that. That's just a fresh one, so that bucket's going to sit for 24 hours, and then I use that to water. We've got loofahs and sweet potatoes that are still growing slips. Ginger. I need to pot up this ginger very soon. And I think I'm going to put it into a big tote bin like I did a couple years ago. Just put it all in one bin together and then put that outside to continue growing in the warm season. Here's the brassicas we just finished thinning. Here are peas. I start my peas inside and then I plant them outside. Might be time to pull this off actually. I sowed 200 peas this year. I don't know what I was thinking, but they're coming up nicely, and I just tease them apart and plant them out into the garden, which is being pre-warmed. If you live in a climate like me where you have a last frost of mid-May and it is pretty cold right now, don't plant your peas outside in frozen soil in an exposed bed. We have some more days that are going down to like -10, at least overnight, Celsius, and that is... They may survive, but it's really pushing it, and they're going to be stressed out plants. I have found that pea seedlings are much more cold hardy than mature peas. Go figure. I guess that's in their nature. They want to start growing early in the spring. So they're going to go outside sooner rather than later in about 2 weeks. Here's our peppers that we just separated out. Peppers and the sweet potato slips that have been planted now. Here's a random assortment of seedlings. From eggplants to celery to those eucalyptus that I tried to save from their soil blocks with bad soil. Got some flower seeds here as well. There's some tulsi. And up here, more little seedlings. There are some more brassicas, so second sowing. These ones are going to be planted at my house. Kohlrabi and some little tiny cabbages. Some lettuces and some kales and some Swiss chards, and then just some spinach because I had extra soil blocks. Those are all cold hardy things that can go outside in mid-April where I'm living, especially if you can put cover on them, but even without cover, they can survive a light frost. And then we've got the leeks in the soil blocks still. Need another tray and more peas. Oh my goodness, so many peas. Here's a tray of mostly flowers. We've got some, there's a cute little hollyhock that's germinated. They're so cute right there. There's marigolds in here, and there's calendula and basils as well. Basils have started to germinate, and cucamelon. There's our little strawberry seedlings and seeds that are still to germinate, which are on a heat mat right now at the back there. That's everything on the seed shelves right now. It is the middle of March, and they are about to explode in growth. There are hundreds of plants, especially when you consider that there are 200 peas alone on these trays. There's hundreds of plants here, and they're going to start growing, and they're going to start needing more space. This is part of my strategic thinking every year to make sure that I have enough space immediately for the seedlings, but also that I will have enough space when they grow and need to be potted up. Some things get to move outside right around the time I need to start potting up into bigger pots. Other things like tomatoes and peppers, by that point my brassicas are already outside, so that helps to make some space. But there's lots and lots of plants here, lots to care for, and thank goodness, so far they're all doing well. The seed starting season has been almost without a hitch. We have the fungus gnats, but they're under control at this point thanks to all of the strategies that I've employed. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and also please subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to have you around for this growing season. Thanks for watching. I hope you come and grow with us.